name's Nathan Starrett. I work for the University of Akron. I'm one of the Microsoft Systems Management Server Administrators. This evolved out of a desktop support role. My job was fixing PCs, laptops, desktops for the faculty and staff. I didn't handle too many of the labs. SMS is more of an office environment solution than a lab solution. The kind of productivity it enables is for end users. Give me a second. As always, a fan of procrastination. Yeah. Okay. This is what we're going to talk about. The SMS core features, which are inventory, software distribution, and remote control. Yes, I use Skype too. Some of the plugins that are available for SMS, feature packs, and other useful add-ons, like the OS deployment pack, like the ability to handle Microsoft updates, software metering. Some suggestions for planning, setting up an SMS environment. Implementation issues and recommendations. I'm the co-administrator for an SMS site with 3,300 clients. You run into a lot of issues. And I'm going to try and demo some SMS stuff if I can get a VPN connection to the office to work. And questions from you guys. Okay. These are the main features that SMS provides. Hardware inventory, software inventory, remote control. Hardware inventory uses WMI to interface with the PC to provide all kinds of information. It records system information like you have a hard drive, you don't have a hard drive, you have a floppy drive, all that regular stuff. Records the add remove programs list, so you can get a snapshot of all the stuff that's officially installed on the machine. Serial number if it's from BIOS, what OS it's running, the service pack it's running, local printers, if you turn that feature on, what services are running on the machine. So you can get, with the hardware inventory, you can get a lot of information about the machine. This is a snapshot of the hardware inventory results on one machine. This is the service listing of everything that's running on the machine, and you can see all the different categories that SMS returns, from add remove programs to what processor it has, USB devices that are attached and things like that. The hardware inventory functionality is extensible by modifying MOF files, which talks to the WMI namespace. So you can turn on and off inventory features. If you don't care what printers are inventoried, you can turn that off. If you don't want to know how big the hard drive is, you can turn that off. WMI is extensible enough that you can add most stuff, anything that you can program it to do, you can add in through this structure to have SMS inventory as part of the hardware inventory process. Software inventory. Software inventory uses a fixed database that's updated from Microsoft periodically. So it queries a large database of all the software Microsoft thinks that anybody might care about and uses that to determine what it thinks the software is actually present on the machine. So outside of the add remove program lists, it looks for the Adobe PageMaker executable, and if it has version 4 of that, it reports it as having version 4 of that executable installed. You can add to that template with custom templates. You can also report on specific files. That's one of the things that's very useful for determining updates. There's plenty of software out there that won't self-update, and the only way to determine whether or not it has been updated to the current version and all the security patches are applied is that a certain version of a certain DLL is there. To the point of ridiculousness. We actually, in our environment, inventory the beer.dll file to determine if a part of the Adobe CS suite is up to date. Because if it's that version or below of the beer.dll file, you need an update. Those are all, you add whatever you want to add. Any file that's on the machine, you can tell it to record, and then it'll report back as part of the software inventory process. Remote control. SMS includes remote control functionality, but it is relatively outdated technology. It installs a device driver that mirrors the display and mirrors the keyboard. This has been known to cause problems with things like tablet edition, where there's a lot of keyboard mirroring already loaded and video devices already loaded for the pop-up keyboard and things like that. They don't recommend using it with modern machines. Use remote desktop, use remote assistance. They provide the same level of functionality and are configured through group policies. Something that comes with the OS, so it's already there on every machine. In our environment, we use VNC just because we got the VB scripts set up to automatically launch it, so the users can just click on an icon and it'll launch VNC. We can distribute it with SMS, so it's installed on all the machines the way we want it to be installed. And VNC works good. I'm sure we've all used VNC. Probably the most important or most useful part of SMS is software distribution. The reason you need an enterprise management system is asset tracking. That's the hardware and software inventory part, and so you don't have to walk around, but to do away with the sneaker net. You don't have to walk around with CDs, so you don't have to give CDs to people. I work at an educational environment, and the only way to stay in license compliance is to not give people a CD and not give people the license code. SMS doesn't rely on MSIs, but it's Microsoft. MSIs are their technology for doing installer packages. It is very easy to distribute software with SMS if it's an MSI. If it's not an MSI, you're looking at developing a custom install solution and then just using SMS to execute a command. SMS is going to execute a command, but you're going to have to do the work to make it silent or locate it somewhere where it can access all the pieces or figure out how to get it to register itself automatically. SMS supports multiple locations for content, so you have different sites. You can have servers there that serves the content locally, so the machines will talk to that server as opposed to going back to your central organization. And also for redundancy and data doing large pushes. You just need to have more than one server to handle as many clients as we do. We've got a query-based client selection, so we deploy packages based on all kinds of different things, based on operating system, based on the type of machine. All different computers comes with different licenses for DVDs and CD burning software. So the D600, the Dell laptops, we got to deploy one DVD burning software to them. The IBM ThinkPads, we got to deploy Record Now. All the computers can be in different collections. So unlike Active Directory schema where a computer can only be in one OU, a computer can be in the collection that gets SMS updates for CS2 and in a completely different collection for getting Office 2003. Makes it easy to organize your structure so it makes sense. SMS will retry advertisements, so you can deploy something and forget about it. It will keep trying it until it works or until it fails for an error code. So we have 1,000+ laptops. They're always being turned on and off in the middle of our automated installs. It's important that whatever enterprise management product we use is able to pick up where it left off. SMS is able to do that. There's flexible scheduling so that you can tell it to install whatever package you're distributing right now. You can tell it to install it next Tuesday. You can tell it to install every Tuesday, etc. And the packages can be used differently for different clients. So you can run the Office installation with Publisher for certain clients and then you can run it with a different command line using the same package, so you don't need to replicate your content without Publisher. There's a SMS packaging system has a system where you have the data content, and then you have the command lines that you run against that content. So for MSI exec commands that you run that do different things. When you create a package based on an MSI, it automatically creates uninstall programs, install programs, silent install programs, unattended install programs, the user-only install programs, so that it can be installed different ways based on what your needs are. SMS distributes content with SMB shares or with the bits technology, like Windows Updates uses. Okay, how does it work? In order to distribute software, you have packages, which are the data. So you have an Office package that you create with Microsoft Office. And then you create a program that runs a command line against that package, and then you advertise that to a client or a collection. Create a new package. Essentially, you browse to your source somewhere on the network, an MSI file, a install shield, executable, whatever you're using, and then you tell it what you want to do with it. Either SMS will create a compressed copy of that source, or it will always refer to the same location. The always refer to the same location is useful so that you want to run a VB script. Everybody runs the same V script, and you want to log it to a public share somewhere, so that you're just, it doesn't need to. You don't want it to be one-time only content. The compressed source is useful for Office. We're distributing Office. Make a compressed copy of this. We don't want a bunch of copies of this running around. It's the same for everybody. It's not going to get updated. Point it to where you want it to go, and then you complete it. That creates the package. Pretty easy. Then you create using an MSI, you get a bunch of programs. You can see them in the background up here. These are the standard programs created when you add an MSI package. Unattended system, uninstall and install, and attended per user, so that you can install it so that it only shows up for a given user as opposed to for everybody on the system. Then you can go through and you can create a new program, and what this will do is name it something like UA unattended reinstall. What this does is reinstall the product as opposed to install it. So it's using the MSI exec switches to automatically reinstall Media Player in this case. Name it, put comments, use the command line, whatever the command line is you're going to want to send to it, and then how you want to run it. You can tell it to do something after, like to reboot or shut down. Then you also can use options to run another program first, to run it every time, or every time a given user. If it's a per user or at login, you can have it run every time somebody logs in, or just once for that computer, and then that computer is good, because it's just a device driver update, for example, and you only need it once. You don't need it every time somebody logs in. You can tell it to run only when a user's logged in, only when a user's not logged in. You can restrict what operating systems and platforms it'll go to, and you can tell it how much disk space. So that means that if the machine doesn't have that much disk space, it will fail out with an error code and not install it. You can tell it how long it should wait before it automatically fails it for taking too long.